Ah, yes, the Lego movies. We all grew up with them, we all love them, but the question is, how good are they? How do they compare today? And do they even hold up to the high standards that people give them? Today we're looking through all four of them, so let's hop right into it. Sorry, DC fans, we are not going over any of those crappy TV specials or DVDs.
Gather all the food for the master. Gather all the food for the master.
The first movie in this series of movies is, of course, the first Lego movie, which came out in 2014. And let me tell you, my friends, it's aged like fine wine. This follows Emmett as he tries to work with some master builders, stop the villain's plan, Lord Business. Little bit of a cliche plot, but it's crazy how they pull it off in comparison with all the references to other movies and such. I think one of the main reasons they were able to execute it so well is because of the main character, Emmett, who, of course, you know, is voiced by Chris Pratt. They do a great job of just explaining him as being like an average guy, like kind of like the Kens in the Barbie movie, where he's not like the loser character stereotype or like the jock. He's just an average dude who's just kind of like a side character in the big world that they're living in. Another big attribute to this movie is the fact that they go to all these different worlds, and it's just cool to see all the references and such in those worlds. Makes you want to build on your own. And I think they do a great job with that. They don't keep the setting in like a particular spot, and I think that really helps keep the story moving. Now, as for the story itself, you can obviously see it's more toward a little kid demographic. I was really young when that came out. I don't remember when I saw it. I don't know if I saw it in theaters or not, but I do remember the story being definitely targeted towards kids and their creativity. But as for adults, the comedy, it really just throws it right at you in the face. I mean, it's just great comedy all around. The characters are really likable. You got Benny, Metalbeard, Batman, Lucy, Unikitty. You just want to see them succeed. They're really likable characters, and they're just hilarious, really marketable. Speaking of the market, there were quite a few Lego sets made for this movie. I don't think I own any of them, actually, which is pretty sad. They are pretty expensive now. But I think the greatest part about this being a Lego movie is since everything is based off of the Lego bricks, they were able to make it look really close to the movie with the sets that they made. Great figures as usual. A lot of them are really marketable. There was a CMF series for this, and I'm not sure if any of the sets go for super top dollar, but they're pretty good in my opinion. And you know, a lot of this movie, the reason it holds up so good, it's based totally around nostalgia for a lot of people. It's the first of its series. A lot of the times, you know, sequels don't do as good as the originals. This movie does really good. I mean, it just opens up the new universe of Lego people, and I just love the world that it created. And of course, it gave us that hit single, Everything is Awesome. But, I mean, with this movie, surely it wouldn't end on a cliffhanger and leave room for a sequel, right? Right?
Oh my god!
Ah, yes. The first Lego movie was such a hit. Of course, there had to be a sequel. And you know, I think it's crazy about this movie. Usually sequels come out in a couple of years, but from 2014 to 2019, that is 5 years that they left us on a cliffhanger. Some people were never sure if we were going to get one or not, and I know the movies do take a while, but still, that's kind of a long time for a sequel to come out. And I already knew that this one wouldn't do as good as the last one, just because it's not as nostalgic, and the first one was just ahead of its time. But I think this one does have some key points where it is really good. With the story, this focuses more on Emmett growing up, and then with the real world, the brother and sister arguing and fighting. It's very interesting to see how that is all laid out. The characters pretty much act the same, nothing too crazy. I think Batman does get a lot more time to shine in this one, and it is cool seeing Emmett when he meets Rex. Rex was just such a cool character. And with Rex and Emmett, the dialogue, there is a lot of meta references in this movie and references to other time travel movies, which is pretty cool. And Rex is a really cool character in this movie, just the way they explain his backstory. They are both voiced by Chris Pratt, and I think he does a pretty amazing job with the delivery. Now, I think the climax where Rex reveals that he actually is Emmett from the future, it was predictable, but then again, you gotta think this is a kid's movie, even though a lot of us teens and adults are very passionate about it. In terms of sets for these movies, before you see the movie, these all seem pretty random, but there are some good sets. There's a lot of different Queen whatever Wanabe builds and Rex Dangervest builds. There is a CMF series for this one too, which I have a couple figures from. But the set that takes the cake is Welcome to Apocalypseburg, the $300 set. I do not own this. It is one of my most wanted LEGO sets of all time, so hopefully one day I'll be able to get my hands on it, even though it is incredibly expensive now. Now, the final point I wanted to make about the LEGO Movie 2 is the fact that it is very different. It is a musical, so there are plenty of musical numbers, which are all pretty good. I think the cast does a great job, and it does give us some pretty good songs to add to our Spotify playlist. Now, is it as good as the original? Not exactly, but I do give it some kudos. I think it was a pretty fun watch. Ah, the LEGO Batman movie. You know, it might be weird to say, this one might be my favorite, but there is a couple things to take into account when judging this movie. So, yes, of course, this is a Batman solo movie, but I think what a lot of people don't understand is that this is a LEGO Batman movie, so it goes more into the LEGO aspect than it does with Batman. Like, all the characters are there. It's just, there are other Warner Bros. Properties, and that's something you just expect with a LEGO movie. But, I mean, the story's still enjoyable. It's a fun watch. Just, that might catch a couple people off guard. This story gives a really nice blend of, like, seriousness, but also comedy. The jokes are hilarious. Will Arnett does an incredible job as Batman, like usual. But it explores him, you know, being lonely and opening up to people, so that is the more heartfelt side of it. Now, I know this is a kid's movie, but it is a bit odd at the end how, you know, the whole movie, Joker and Batman have a love-hate relationship, but at the very end, the villains help him to save the day. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I know it is a kid's movie, but it is a little bit odd, and I don't think a lot of people wanted to see that. They probably wanted to see more action and such. So, going back to what I said before, it does kind of make you feel bad for Batman in the beginning, because you show he's just such a big celebrity saving the town, everyone loves him, and then when he goes to his Batcave, he's just all alone, so that is kind of funny. All he has is Alfred, and that's where most of the movie is just about him opening up, because you got Robin and Batgirl and just a bunch of different people coming into his life that he has to accept and warm up to over the course of time. In terms of LEGO sets, dude, I was so excited to talk about this. Now, I think the obvious one that's really good is Joker Manor, but every one of these sets just gives really cool characters. There were 2 CMF series for this movie, both incredible, and I think this has the best sets and minifigs out of any of the 4 movies. Now, obviously, that's just a sense of preference, but man, let me tell you, the sets were really well made. I mean, everything about them was pretty cool. I wish I could get more, and anytime I go to places that have retired LEGO sets, I'm always on the hunt for LEGO Batman movie stuff. Out of these 4 movies, this and the LEGO Movie 1 are probably tied for my favorite. But as usual, this movie had to drop a banger song on the soundtrack.
It's okay if you stare.
You know, I really enjoyed the Lego Ninjago movie, but a lot of people hate it. I think the dialogue between Garmadon and Lloyd is really funny to watch, and his friends are cool supporting characters, but they don't get too many moments to shine. But people just hate this movie, and there's a couple different reasons for that. One reason for this is because this is an original story. It's nothing like the show, so they added their own twists to the story and the characters. And a lot of fans of the show were really hoping it would stay kind of true to that, which it really didn't. Like, I mean, design, that's okay to change, but some of the story things and the dynamics are just a little bit different than the actual show itself. This movie primarily focuses on Lloyd not being able to fit in and his relationship with his dad, Garmadon. And throughout the movie, it's cool to see their dynamic change. It's just a cool overall dynamic between the 2 characters. Garmadon's dialogue pretty much carries this movie. I mean, he's just cracking jokes the whole time, and I do think it is hilarious. There are heartfelt moments in this, but like most LEGO movies, the comedy drives it forward. It's just really funny that even kids and adults can both laugh at it. Cast selection was really good, as usual, for these LEGO movies, but I really loved the casting of Jackie Chan as Master Wu. I think that was a perfect match. Like the other movies, there was a CMF series for this. In terms of sets, not too much to talk about. They pretty much just have the mechs and a few other things. I do own Jay's vehicle, which I got at a convention. I think it is pretty cool. I got it for a good deal, so it is a nice set to have. But, I mean, none of these sets really stand out to me, but, I mean, they're still solid overall. As usual, there was an original song made for this movie as well. Like the others, I did have a blast watching this, even if it doesn't fit the standards to most people. But that's about all I have for this commentary video. This is my first time doing a video like this, so if you liked it, please comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.